Hi, my name is Saul.
Hi, my name is Wendell Holland.
My name is Brandon Donlin.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Gabler, the Alli-Gabler, coming to you live on Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Okay, folks, and welcome to... Actually, you know what, Bailey? This is your guest. Why don't you intro the show?
Let's do it. Come on, guys. Come on in and welcome to Survivor Squared. My name is Bailey Buffs, joined by my co-host, Ride or Die, number one alliance, Tony Squares. And today we're going to have the most wonderful, incredible guest. You know him. You love him. Winner of season 43, Mike Gabler is going to be joining us. He is a heart valve surgeon from Idaho. He is one of the most incredible, trustworthy, honest, and integrity Dragon Slayer coach, take note, players you will ever meet. So it is our absolute pleasure and honor today to welcome you in and listen to our interview with Mr. Gabler.
We have had some big-time guests on this show. We've had former winners. We've had people who've played multiple times. We have had people who have left their mark on the history and legacy of Survivor. But today, dare I say, we have one of the most qualified guests we've ever had on this show, because not only did he win his season of Survivor, not only did he donate his $1 million winnings to charity, but every single day he has a direct hand, literally, in saving lives out there. And from the son of a mother who is working at South Shore Hospital as I record this podcast and has done so for 43 years of her life, I am so pleased to welcome on Mr. Mike Gabler to Survivor Squared. Come on in, Gabler.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony. For Bailey, thank you guys. This is going to be awesome, a lot of fun. We've got a lot to talk about. It's been a great season so far, and we've got anything we want to talk about, it's on the table today.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to go through your season. I'm pumped to go through season 50. We just saw episode 3. There is so much happening so fast. Even though there's 24 people, they're only eliminating one at a time. So there's still so many characters to talk about and dissect. But Bailey, I know you're excited to talk about Gabler because this is your guest.
I'm so excited. I know. Okay, so little backstory. We do have to give a shout out to my cousin Samantha, who made this all happen. Samantha was working on the Idol Hunt tour, and she met Gabler, and she put us in contact. And
Yes.
I screamed in my phone when, I don't know, how did she approach you about it? Was she in pure Samantha fashion, just balls to the walls?
She pretty much
talk to my
straight up.
cousin.
That's right. Samantha's all business. So we came in. We were having a great time. It was a beautiful day up in Tamarack, Idaho, which is a ski resort up there, about 2 hours north of Boise. Drove up there along a beautiful frozen river. Got there. It was like a sunny bluebird day with snow on the ground, and we had about 300 people come out from Idaho for the Idol search. Samantha was there and came up and just told me about your podcast and that we've had to do this, and now we're here.
If anyone else wants to recruit guests for Survivor Squared, you let us know. Send them our way. We will happily talk to players on Survivor. And I'm happy to have a winner on here because you can not only talk to us about everything that went on your season, but you've experienced every single day on that island. And that does take a toll on you, whether it's 26 or 39 days to spend that long, to go through all the steps of it, from starting on an original tribe to going through the merge to surviving that whole ordeal, the fire making, how it whittles everything down, and then, of course, final tribal at the end. There's so many steps to winning Survivor and so many ways you can win Survivor. To start us off on Survivor 50, though, out of all the players we've seen so far, we've seen in-depth stories of some of them. Some of them we've kind of have not gotten the full bite of who they are yet on the island. Is there anyone's gameplay specifically that is standing out to you that you're either like, that's someone that could make it far, or this one's going to burn too bright and go out early?
It's really been an interesting run because, when you've got a season of returning players, and it's about time, because I think, really every 3 years we should have something like this. It's like, whether it's fans be favorites, themes. I mean, I'd love to see like Blood v. Water, Heroes, Villains back again, all the things, right? It's so fun because when when a brand new season starts with new players you've never seen, it takes a few episodes, maybe even 4 or 5 episodes to figure out who's what, who we care about. Well, this is all different. 50 starts from the get-go. We know all of them in some capacity. And if you're a big fan, you know every one of them in a great capacity. And it's super fun to see all of these people, all of these dimensions coming together. You've got Cirie, you've got Rizo, it's all over the place, right? I thought Cirie was going to be the first person voted out because Cirie is such a powerful relationship player with a huge reputation. This is her 5th time to play. I thought people would come after her, especially if they lost the first challenge, which they did. And it was, a lot of it was on her shoulders, her wide shoulders. And, but that's how good she is. That's how good she might be a one-dimensional player, but that dimension is an unbelievable dimension that nobody else can get because she was in the hot seat, target on her back, everybody looking at her for every reason. And she judo flipped herself into episode 2. And then in episode 2, they were going after her number 1, Aussie, and she judo flipped over past 10 and got Savannah out. And now, it looks again like she's in a precarious situation because, you got Dee and Jonathan going, even Dee's friend she talked about before she went on the show.
Mel.
Sat her down and said, look, if you're on a tribe with Cirie, you got rid of her. You have to. And she's like, but I like her. And she's like, that's the problem. Everybody likes her. They love her. They don't like her. They love her.
Yep.
And we do love her as fans. And she's a masterclass of relationships and communication. And I think what she does probably better than anybody is in her confessionals, she explains what she's doing and why she's doing it. I think that's also very interesting. And as somebody that's a fan of the show and a student of the game, I watch Survivor, with a pause button, and I like to pause when there's big things going on and discuss with the people I'm watching with, because it's such a powerful, you're like, did you see that? Rewind that. Look what Cirie says. How does she get herself out of this? And she does. So, long answer, but I think that Cirie is probably in trouble, not because of her gameplay, but her reputation and her power and her presence. And, if she gets to the merge, she's my number 1 pick to get to the end because no one's stopping that train. If it gets to the merge station, it's over. And we'll see because if anybody can do it, it will be Cirie.
Absolutely.
In the hot seat a bit. Players that I'm really enjoying watching that are setting up well. And I'm even going to say this, even though there was a stumble this week, but I think Christian's playing a remarkably good game.
I agree.
He's well insulated. He's got people around him that may not jump on a grade for him, but they'll certainly tip him off that the grade's being thrown at him. He's got these levels with Devons. He's now got the Aubrey on ally far away on another tribe. He's put things back together with Emily. I think he's just the most lovable. I mean, he's like the star of the season so far. He's really for every reason, good and bad. He's been a lot of fun. But Jonathan's another one that I think he's playing a different game. His facade is that he's the same player he was. He's a provider. He's not really going to play a lot of strategy, but we know in his confessionals he is.
Yeah.
So that's something. And I love Jonathan. I love all these players. I mean, it's tough every week when somebody goes home because I wanted to see more Savannah. I wanted to see more Q. Heck, I wanted to see definitely more Kyle. And Jenna was just getting going, and she just got sideways with Cirie, and Cirie got to do what Cirie does. So I don't know. That's a long answer. It's hard to say on 3 episodes in, but what do you guys think?
No, I hear you. Just real quick on Christian, because since we're talking about him, me and Bailey discussed this when we recapped the episode. We thought it was such a genius move by him when Emily came to him and said, hey, I told everyone our little secret. Christian in his confessional, like you said, is doing the psycho killer move, like he's going crazy. I can't believe. But to Emily, he immediately lets that wash over him. And he's like, okay, how do we fix this together? How do we work together? And a lesser player would have let that anger take over. I cannot believe you broke this trust or whatever. Instead, Christian immediately is like, let's all kumbaya and get this done together. Right, Bailey?
Yeah, well, I think we touched briefly on this, but I think this is a good kind of connector here. I think something that makes Christian's game stand out so much is the ability to control his emotional reactions, is that he could have released this anguish, this anger upon Emily, but instead he really was able to control himself in that moment. And then, yes, have his freak out in the confessional, but to her, really, really be able to process that so quickly without any sort of backlash or without, projecting any sort of anger. And I think that's something that we've had too with previously, we just had Saul on and interviewed him. I think that's something Saul did really well. And Gabler, I would argue that that's something you do very well. And we saw you do that on your season. I think you have such an ability to really control those emotions in these times of tension and be able to process and think really intellectually and strategically, and then kind of move forward with those emotions. And I think that's something that just really separates a lot of players from good to great, is their ability to do that.
I love that. The difference between reacting and responding is key on Survivor, because you have critical conversations that are coming at you, especially in the new era where it's faster. The games, I mean, the 26 days, it's, you're running at a marathon pace, but it's a sprinter's pace too. You're just like, it's every day's tribal, every day's something. You're really busy, and people are also very degraded by their lack of sleep, hunger, thirst, all the things. So having the presence of mind to pause before you respond, and I don't know if I could have done as well a job as Christian did on this one, because he was like, today is a beautiful day, I'm doing awesome, everything's great, I couldn't be doing any better, and then it was like, boom, and he had to rebuild it. And his response, not reaction, but his response to Emily saved what was a catastrophe. I think he was able to put it back together, reassure her, calm her down, and get her to vote his way. And then Mike White deciding, hey, let's not just go for Angelina. Let's really take a shot here and take out a power player on the beach who's. I love Q. His commentaries are fantastic. He's funny. His vernacular is hilarious. He's really got a funny way of telling stories, and I love that. It's very unique. That's why, of course, he was picked for 50. He brings that energy and that power. But with all that power comes a high target. And people on the beach, whether it was Joe last week, where he was kind of forcing his way of play, or Q forcing his way of play. I mean, Q gets on the beach, he's already doing the math. Who do I need to talk to? How do I need to do this? And that aggressive play is effective, because Tony Velovic did, that's how he played in Winners at War. He was super aggressive from start to go. But Tony had Sarah to kind of even him out. Without Sarah, I don't think Tony wins Winners at War. Tony needed somebody to kind of cool him down and keep him being a little bit more collegial, a little bit more chill in the game. And I think Q, being as dominant as he was on the game with his gameplay, with his strategy, the other players were either intimidated by it or threatened by it. Either way, it's the same kind of thing. Threatened by it. They were either intimidated, like, I don't know if I can play at that level, or he's playing at such a high level, I don't want him around, because he could change he's a chaotic player, can be chaotic. And if you give him the chance, he's going to blow it up. So that goes back to the whole Alli-Gabler strategy, where, it's threat level management. You have to strike. If you're part of a strike force, maybe somebody else, Bailey, you get you get the credit for it. That's fine. I'll get credit at Final Tribal Council. I'll wait. Exactly. I'll tell everybody I was part of that at Final Tribal. But for now, it can be Bailey's thing. I don't care. As long as somebody's going home, I'm happy. That's the standard. They all got to go at some point. And I think you got to manage that threat level. So, you strike, or you win a big immunity, or something big happens. Everybody's looking at you. You're on the top of the pyramid. You need to go underwater, hide out somewhere in there, be a part of other people's strategies. It's okay. You can have multiple alliances and be part of things, but you don't necessarily get the blame. You don't get the spotlight. And then you can tell your story later. You have to be patient on Survivor. Patience is important, because if you tell people things, if you tell them at the wrong times, it will be to your detriment. So you have to be patient with conversations. If you want to have that conversation with, like on my beach with Ellie, when she was targeting me, I was targeting her, Baca got fractured. We were going into the merge. We had the merge challenge. And I knew that there wasn't enough room on the beach for the both of us. But I've been waiting about 10 days to have that conversation with people. And it was perfect. I was immune. We were fractured. We were all merged. All you need is somebody's name, and it's sticky. It sticks like glue. You say, what about that Tony guy? I don't know if I can trust him. What do you think, Bailey? And you're like, I don't know. Maybe I can't. But hey, it's Tony. We'll just say. So then that name sticks in conversation. And it's got I bet it's a 90% plus probability that the names that are mentioned early in the merge day are the ones going in contention and the one that goes out. So that's kind of what I was playing there. And then the next day, I won the individual immunity challenge in front of everybody in pretty, dramatic fashion with, doing a minute for everybody, doing all this stuff. So, I'd kind of helped pioneer this big move. Ellie kind of lashed me in tribal council. Well, that's what you get for trusting Gabler. And I'm like, oh my God. And I win the immunity. And I'm like, I'm soaring towards the sun here, Icarus style. And if I don't watch out, my wings are going to melt. And I'm going to fall fall from grace and get voted out. So I knew I had to go under. And I just was like, hey, Bailey, who are you thinking? I'm with you. Tony, who are you thinking? I'm with you. And then you do a couple votes where you're involved, but you're not the front name of that. And that's the tightrope. That's the knife's edge that is in the new era. We've had 50 seasons now. So we are the most sophisticated Survivor game in the world. There's, another, I think 45, 50 countries that do Survivor. Australian Survivor is the second most famous, but they're only on season 8 or 9. We're at 50. So our players, because of podcasts like this, it's expert. We have people in there, the subtleties are so minor, but the butterfly effect is real.
Absolutely. I do want to touch on that. Speaking of, everyone knows how to play this game now, and we are on a returnee season. So all of these players have either succeeded or failed before in their long stretch on Survivor. And I talked to Troy Zan, who was one of the first guests that came on this show, and he talked about his season on Second Chance, and he went all the way to the end, and how when he got on that island and he's talking to all of these players, it was game changer. So, and he's talking to all of these players, and everyone came on trying to change what they had done the first time, and some people changed a little bit too much, and some people, were right at the good spot of changing just enough to get farther than they were before. If you had to go on a returnee season of Survivor, even though you won your season, I'm sure you have stuff that you did on the island that you would like to tweak and change. Do you think that's a necessity to kind of go back and look at old game tape and try to make reviews of your play? Or do you think like everyone's going to be changing too much, it's better to just stick with what I know?
Well, I think going back and looking at the tape is always valuable.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the process of getting on Survivor, and they would give me the call back, and I'm in the interview process with Jeff and all the folks there, the producers, to get on the show. I went back with my yellow legal pad and a clipboard from season 1 all the way through to season 42 at the time.
Yep.
And I'm watching, and I'm writing pros and I'm writing cons. I'm writing great moves and bad moves. Like, do not say this, do not do that, or do this, don't do that. So I had a list of things together. And me being me, and nobody knows this. This is why the Alli-Gabler is so great. I'm a very simple guy, right? I'm from Texas. My dad was in the military and then in oil, so I traveled a lot. Mm-hmm. I've picked up interesting sayings from all over the world where we lived. I went to middle school in Saudi Arabia. So, and I'm a pretty simple dude, right? I'm covered with tattoos. I've got kind of a shaved head, beard. I wear like a $30 watch. I'm a simple guy. But I'm also what people don't quite. In fact, people that are watching this, you can see behind me. There's a bookcase back there. I've read about 90% of those books right there in the background.
I love
and
that.
I have a master's degree. Mm-hmm. I've been in the cardiovascular space for over 25 years. So I'm a hardcore competitor. I was actually the 1992 light heavyweight champion in boxing in Texas way back when. You're not born with a face like this. You got to get punched a lot. So people tend to underestimate me in a lot of ways. And that's okay, because I went into Survivor. I had a 30-page outline of how to win Survivor.
Wow.
Now, granted, it
all
email
that over.
Yeah. I have it. I read books by Chris Voss, FBI hostage negotiator.
Wow.
I watched master classes on different negotiation techniques, persuasion, nonverbal communication, all of these things, putting together my Alli-Gabler strategy. And I was based on really 3 players. It was Sandra, who the strategy queen. It was Jeremy, because he's a relationship master. And it was Rupert, because Rupert's just so much fun and was just a larger than life character. So I put all of that together going into the show. So I was extremely prepared going back. I read the tape, looked at things, do what, don't do. And I knew that if, my goal was get to the middle. If I can get to the middle, I can get to the end. If I get to the end, I will win. So my most dangerous part, the way I assessed my strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats, my own SWOT analysis on myself going into Survivor 43, was I was most vulnerable the first week out there.
Yeah.
And it turned out that was right because my play was a little bit clumsy. Yeah. We were certainly had a lot going on. Baca lost the first immunity challenge. We're like, oh God, that's just, it's not what you wanted, how you want to start. But then I kind of got myself figured out. I got Sammy, I got some, I got an idol. And then you keep moving forward. But once you get to the merge, then it's relationships, it's individual game, it's all the things. So I think you better have a plan going on Survivor. You should. But to answer your question specifically about what would I do differently if I went on a new season, well, that's the beauty of Survivor, because every season is different. Whatever plan you have for 43, 43 is done. It'll never come back again. It's over. Done. Those players, even if we had the same 43 cast again, it would be different. So, the winners on the beach, the best people on that beach are the people that can adapt and their personalities. Look at Chrissy. Chrissy this week, Coach gave her some hard, tough love, but that's who you want. You want a coach, somebody that's going to tell you, Bailey, you get up in the morning and you like to sing for 5 minutes for a half hour on the beach. Yeah,
you know her too well.
You called me out so badly. You just read me for filth.
So stop doing that, or walk further down the beach to do it, or whatever. So I think that Chrissy's somebody who has played. She's a great player, one of my fan favorite, of course, and she has to make adjustments. And Coach gave her the stuff. It hurt her feelings, not intentionally, but he's got the right intention, and I think she read through that too and appreciates it. But she had to change her game. Yeah. And everybody on the show, and look, we had a merge on the third episode. So a tribe swap on the third episode. Everyone has to reshuffle the deck. And you saw Cirie even being like, oh, I just put in all this work for 7 days. I got to start over. And who's this Riz God? Oh, my God. And that's really interesting as you go and you play it. And I think so. If I was to go again, and I would, I love Survivor. I got a lot out of that show. I met a lot of cool people. I keep meeting new cool people because of Survivor. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I'd listen a lot, and I'd also have a little bit more fun. The first time you play, you're just trying to survive. Can I do this? Can I do this? Well, I can. I know I can. Now I've done it. So now it's like a little bit more Devons-ish, maybe a little bit more stuff. Maybe I'd put a different 3 people together to make my strategy, to tweak the Alli-Gabler strategy. But that whole threat level management is imperative in the game of Survivor, the American style, because it's so sophisticated now.
So I want to pick your brain on something that I think is a very divisive topic of how people would play this out. So I want to talk about idols really quickly with you, because on your season, you were the first one to find an idol, and you immediately shared that information with your whole tribe. I think that is a very strategic, specific move, because a lot of people would argue that if you find an idol, you should not say a word to anybody. And I think we've seen a lot more in the new era seasons that people are a lot more willing to share these idols and use them as a tool to connect with their tribe mates. But in previous seasons, that was a no-no. It was you keep it quiet, you keep it hush-hush. So I would love to just understand your mindset on that and what you think about the pros and cons of sharing idols or keeping it safe, or kind of what your theory is on that.
It's going to be subjective to the situation that you are in, of course. Now, you can't have trust without risk. So the only way you can build trust, or to understand trust, so if I'm going to trust Tony, can I trust Tony? I don't know. But I might give him something at my own risk. I might take a risk, like Christian took a risk sharing information sloppily, but he's information with Emily at the last second on the mat at the challenge, and it didn't go well. But it's like, I think whenever you're doing something like that, it's really important to understand all relationships grow at the speed of trust, and trust is the currency from every relationship, and you can't have trust without risk. So you have to put some risk out there in order to get reciprocity of trust back at you. Now, in my particular situation, it was a journey with a challenge out there, and I thought about it on the boat ride back. I'm like, am I going to tell a story here to the people on the beach here? We're like day 2 or 3. It's very early in my season, and maybe if it was day 13, it would have been very different. But day 3, I'm just barely getting to know everybody. I want them to trust me. I want them to believe me and take me at my word. Also, we've also seen people come back telling weird stories from their journey that's not believable. People are side-eyeing everything. It's not quite right. And that blows up on them. And then when they get to the merge, they find out, Gabler did lie to us about this. He does have an idol because they'll talk to other people. It's going to come out. So for me to take that and show them on immediately day 1 or day 2, I think it was day 2, and then have them read my idol, touch it, feel it, all this stuff. They read the parchment that said, it's good for my first 2 tribal councils, which is really interesting because like 2-3 days later, they went digging through my bag to see it, which I found out about in a couple ways. That backfired too, but it was a good book. I was trusting, and then they did something that was like not trustworthy for me, so I knew that would paint a target on them later. But I think there is a balance there, and I think if you have to think through it, you have about in my situation coming back from a journey, I had about 40-minute boat ride to figure out what I'm going to say, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be truthful. If I open this and there's an idol, I'm going to do my wolf howl, and I'm going to let everybody read it, and we're all going to celebrate it, and we're going to all make this kumbaya thing into what it is, because it's powerful, but it's not. I also wanted them to know, because it was an idol good for 2 tribal councils, my 2 tribal councils. If you're going to vote for me, I have a shot in the dark, and I have this potential vote. So if you stack votes on me, it could go bad 2 different ways. So I for me, it was like a shield I put up there, and it wasn't a target because it was only going to last for 2 tribal councils. So it's not like it's going to make it to the merge probably. It's just going to kind of get in there. Yeah. So for me, in fact, I moved it to the other room. I had my shot in the dark on my desk, but it's in the other room.
The way you talked about that, the trust and risk factor, and also going back to 50, how we just had that tribe swap, the most interesting thing to me, especially in the beginning of that, is when there's a tribe swap on a season with new players, you really don't know anybody when you do that tribe swap. You're used to the 6 people you met the first few days on the island. These players in season 50, some of them have past relationships with each other. They've either played before, they've met people at Survivor functions before. So it was very interesting to see all that play out in front of our eyes. But out of the season 50 cast, Gabler, I'll put it this way. When Joe and Coach and Colby got together, they were immediately like, I've been waiting to work with you. Joe and that was a match made in heaven, those guys. So out of all the people on the season 50 cast, if you were on that island with them, is there any people initially you'd be like, I kind of want to work with so-and-so, or I kind of am wary of so-and-so? We already talked about Cirie, but does anyone else stand out that you would want to kind of attach at the hip with?
So I'm a relationship player. I love people. I'm interested in people. It's hard to get on Survivor, so when I got onto 43, I'm like, whoever is out here must be interesting because they had somewhere to. So I want to get to know each and every one of them, what makes them tick, and see how we can work together, take care of each other, and win together. And so I don't have anybody I wouldn't want to be. I would be excited to work with anybody in any of those tribes. In fact, I love the tribe swap idea because for me, that's a strength. I have that strength. Like, I'm okay to put in the time with all the people I need to and reassess and go into it, whether it's, heck, to be in there with, Stephanie LaGrossa and, playing there with Mike White or whoever, Jonathan, you name it. I'm Camilla. I want to play with every one of them. I know all of them. I know 50% of them I've met. I've probably met 50% of them. I've met them, some of them, and I've watched all of them, so I know who they are. So I would be giddy, just like you two would be to be on the beach. I'd be exactly the same as you guys. It would be no different. There's nobody that I would be really worried about because like Q, I would play with Q. I would love to play with Q. Okay,
Yeah.
Kyle, I'd love to play. Poor Kyle. He's all better now. I saw an update. His Achilles is back.
Yep.
Savannah, love to play with Savannah. There's nobody that I wouldn't play with, but there's people that would make me a little bit nervous, like Emily. Emily makes me nervous just the way that she gets hot cold and she gets a little paranoid, a little fast. And you go back to that minor, tiny little, which was a favor and a blessing that he was trying to bestow upon Emily when Christian at the last minute, because he didn't have time to talk to her, and he's like doing her a favor. He's like, hey, by the way, Bailey, so Aubrey has an idol and it's all good. We're good. He set that up. He thought he was doing a great thing. And it was the message he sent was not the message received. And she received that as they're hiding things from me. I'm low on our idol alliance. I need to find a new alliance. I'm mad at them. And just went on a wrecking ball spree. So somebody that plays like that, I worry about that. If somebody's playing really wild, I want to know them, but I keep them at arm's distance. I don't want to let them too close. I certainly wouldn't tell them a lot of what I'm doing because that could come out quickly and brutally as it did with Christian. He just did a masterful job of containing the damage.
Talking about just relationships, I just have another question. I'm always curious about the dynamics of the tribes after the show airs and after the season. So I know you're still pretty close with Noelle, but is there anyone else from your season that you still check in with a lot constantly, that you see, that you're you have a great relationship with? I'd love to know more of those inner workings and dynamics of your season.
Bet. 43 stayed pretty whole. We were, it's been 4 years now. So, people do start to move on with the inertia of life starts pulling you away. Owen just had a beautiful baby daughter, so he's busy with doing that. Ellie had her second child. She has a son and a daughter. We're still in contact. I'm on a Baca Tech stream with all of our Baca tribe mates. Cody's going to Las Vegas next weekend, invited me to go. I'm going to be in Texas visiting my family, so I won't see him. But so I'd say, I keep up with just about everybody. James texted me the other day. Carla is, so since the show, she's really gotten into boxing. And she has dropped, I want to say, 25 pounds from the show.
Wow.
And she already lost weight on the show, and she is a muscle beast. I mean, she won 2 or 3 immunity challenges on Survivor, two of them on our season. That woman would win 5 now. She's a contender for whatever. She is like a brick,
That's awesome.
a specimen. So I'm really proud of her because, discipline equals freedom. She has been so disciplined. She's been going to that boxing gym. She's just living her best life. So, I mean, to answer your question, yes, we are still a very close group. Cassidy, we send cat pictures back and forth together every once in a while. Everybody, Jesse Lopez came out with his family to Boise, Idaho last summer. We went tubing on a river and had a great time.
Wow.
I saw him down in Utah. I was doing a work-related event and went to dinner with Sammy and his brother. They can eat a lot, those two. They're twins, so they can eat a lot. Sammy's a BYU cheerleader now. Yeah. And he's like 40 pounds bigger than he used to be. His legs are bigger than me. His legs are bigger than me right now. That's a fact.
And he's no longer 19.
He's no longer 19. He's actually 22.
He's no longer only 19.
I know. Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny because only a 19-year-old would flub their age to 22 because like somebody like me, I'm like, that's the same.
Exactly. That makes me happy to hear because we've had Brandon Donlin from season 45 on this show. Bailey said we talked to Saul from season 47, and all of them have said how tight-knit their casts are now. And Bailey and I had the pleasure of going to a Rob Has the Podcast live recording this past Wednesday, and Brandon was there with a bunch of his season 45 friends, and they were all just like hanging out like I do with my friends. And that makes me the person who watches this and, roots for them or roots against people, and they're coming after after each other and blindsides and hurt feelings and all that stuff, when after that happens, everyone is still kind of like, we shared this together and I want to continue sharing this together. That makes me the happiest when I'm watching all this stuff. And I don't know if that's more of a new era trait versus an old era trait, but it definitely seems to be a theme with all of these recent casts, and that does make me happy. I do want to touch on something we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast, though, because it's kind of been bubbling in my mind about returnee seasons and themes for returnee seasons. Me and Bailey have pondered so many different ways we could have a new era specific returnee season. So let me ask you, Gabler, if I give you 3 options on a new era only returnee season, which of these 3 themes would you like to see? Would you like to see new era second chance? Would you like to see new era blood versus water? Or would you like to see new era fans versus favorites, where the fans are completely new and the favorites are from the new era? Which of those would you like to see?
Yes. All 3. Those are amazing. I love them all. I think that is because, there's so much that goes with, as a fan of the show, and that's what we are at the end of the day, that's how it all starts, right? We're fans of the show. Everybody's a fan. Once in a while, a fan gets to play. I am a huge fan of of all 3 of those scenarios. So for me, like second chances is super exciting. Like I'd love to see, new era second chances where you've got, Jesse on there. You've got, maybe Jesse and Cassidy are there, or Jesse and Carla. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Blood v. Water is probably my favorite of that because I have 2 daughters and one of them really wants to play. We did a little video. We sent it in to Jeff. So it's me and my 22-year-old, which is really wild. She's cute as a button. So it's like you look at me and you look at her and you're like, wow, they're opposites. But I think as a fans, it would be fun to see, that's the baby Alli-Gabler. That's the so I think that would be a Blood v. Water would be a lot of fun because you'd see like Sammy's twin brother would be on the other one. You'd see Owen's mom or whatever. All these different things would be so fun. I love that because it's just like a deeper layer of fandom that we get to see of the people that we love to watch. And then what was the last one you had?
The fans versus favorites,
Fans v. favorites. And then fans v. favorites. That's always a fun one because it infuses new blood with a lot of old blood and fans. And I think that is a winning combination as well because I would love to be on a beach with other favorites and playing against fans. And then, I am a fan. So if I make it merge, I will have no problem having fun with the fans. I want that. That's a great thing. So, yeah.
It fits to me. Those themes, those 3 in particular. Like we've had some themes that didn't lead to the best gameplay or the best vibe on what the season overall was. But those 3 themes in particular, Blood versus Water, we've had some of the best seasons with those themes around it, and those themes have been even the ones that didn't have returning players. San Juan del Sur was Blood versus Water. So many great players came from those seasons, and we love them as watching it because we immediately, I have a mother, I have so you immediately get the dynamic between them, and it's an easy way for you to lock in. So I'm a huge fan of those. But yeah, Bailey, what do you think?
I was just going to say, I think also when you bring in something like Blood versus Water or fans versus favorites, you are bringing an extra layer of strategy. Yeah. You're forcing people to play the game differently than they normally would in just a normal all new player seasons. There are additional layers. So I think it is interesting to throw seasons like that in the mix because you're just switching it up naturally just by the theme of it. People are going to have to play differently. They're going to have to strategize differently just because of the theme of it. So I think it's just a missed opportunity not to utilize that, and we haven't seen it in a while. So I would really be hoping for one of those.
Well, I think you're going to get it because the ratings for 50, it's not just the hype of 50. It's the fact that you got all these returning players and you're having all this. The themes, their ratings have been an explosion. They've done so well with this. So I think that we're going to, as fans, we're going to see more of that. In fact, I just looked at my office here. So this is there's the little Alli-Gabler right there. So see, that was for my birthday. She's a little happy birthday to me. But you see, that is right. That as fans, wouldn't it be crazy? You're like, dude, Gabler's daughter's going to be on there. It's wild. Or you see,
I want to see that.
Yeah, Sammy's brother. You're like, oh, dude, what is this person like? All the things would be so fun as fans. It gives us such a deeper layer to the show, and we're rabid fans. I mean, you go to a Bryson Wynn event, you go to a Rob as a Podcast event, and we think we're super fans until we go there.
Yeah, seriously. Me and Bailey had our minds blown at the Rob Has a Podcast event. It was genuinely, and this is not a free plug for them. They were great to us, but it was genuinely a fantastic atmosphere. And anyone listening right now, if there's a live watch along in your area, go to it. You will have such a fun time. It is such a blast.
So much fun. It's so much fun. I'd never been to one of these until I was on the show. I didn't really know about them much, but they're well known now, and these watch parties are an absolute blast. In fact, I'm going to be going to the one. There's a Houston Survivor club that watches every week, and me and Lauren are gonna. She's from Houston, so I'm meeting her. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna surprise them. If they hear this podcast, then they'll know we're coming. But we're gonna surprise them. We're gonna walk into that thing, and we're gonna walk into that thing. It's so much fun too. You roll in there, you belly up to the bar. You're sitting next. I'm right between Bailey and Tony here. I'm like, hey man, who do you think is going to go voted out tonight or whatever? And it's just like, what? It's so fun.
It's so fun. Well, I spent 20 minutes yesterday just researching all the watch parties in the Los Angeles area and writing them down because I was like, I'm sold now. It was my first time going.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to watch it in a different way. I always want to watch it surrounded by 500 other Survivor fans.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And then you can rewatch it at home later anyways because you're going to do that anyhow.
Exactly.
So you get all the details. The shows have been so good, you almost need to watch them twice because there's so much nuance that happens in there. So interesting.
And we've complimented this, I think, every episode we've recorded, Bailey, but I'll talk about with you, Gabler, as a fan of the show. Hat tip to the editors this season for what they've done with some of the cutaways and the way they've shot some things, whether it's Christian between the hammock, that was such a hilarious shot, or the shot of Charlie when Rizo's talking about how he didn't vote for his best friend, and we cut to Charlie, and he's shocked. Some laugh-out-loud moments. Wonderful.
Well, Survivor's the granddaddy of all reality shows. They are the starter. And their production team and their editors are the best in the business. They are the best. The cameras that they have are, I want to say their cameras are $200,000 plus. The ones that they walk around the beach with, they are highly invested in technology to get slow-mos. Remember the one last season or season before where the fly with slow motion landed on Joe and was walking down to his mouth as he's holding on, he can't move. And it's like, I mean, Aubrey's jumping off the top of the thing. It's so awesome. It's visually, there's so many things that I'm smiling ear to ear on the couch watching Survivor 50 and every season. They do such a good job.
I'm enjoying this conversation. We could go on for hours and hours, but I don't want to go too far before we start to get in some. We like to predict things on this show where we're definitely come from the world of sports, or at least I do, where you're making predictions. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to win the big matchup and stuff? So we've seen now 3 episodes of season 50. There's still 21 players on this island. Many things are going to come down where people are going to get eliminated fast and furious over the next few weeks here. So I do want to know from you, is there someone that you have your eyes on that you think they're playing such a good game at the start, or maybe a quiet game at the start and they'll come to fruition later? Who do you think's going to wrap this up and win season 50?
Oh gosh, before this week I would have said Christian was really running in a good spot, but I think he's flying a little too close to the sun. He's going to have to. If he doesn't Alli-Gabler down soon, he's going to be in trouble because once people figure out how good he is playing, that's going to be an issue. I'm watching some of the players that haven't been a lot of the edits so far, like even Tiffany. Tiffany finally popped up. She's been missing for a couple episodes there, and she has a quiet calm about her that I think lets people. It's almost Cirie-like, in that people want to talk to her. They trust her. She's someone that could be a dark horse coming up the corner that you don't see because they're looking. There's so many big threats on the beach that people are not. There's the top threats. There's the people on the bottom, but there's people in the middle that no one's looking at. And I think that a winner is going to come from that middle group. I think that middle group, people that can move, they're not riding the bottom, because once your name's been put out there, it's hard to get it to go away. And when you're on the top, everybody's looking at those top players, and they just assume the middle ones, we'll get the middle ones later. Well, the middle ones are the ones that are kind of, riding in the blind spots and watch and are opportunistic and are adaptive. I would say that class of player, that middle group that is not, I mean, Charlie's kind of one of those players right now. Charlie's kind of in that. Nobody's talking about Charlie. Rizo, let's talk about that for a second. And situational awareness is imperative in Survivor. And Rizo, being a fan of the show, should have checked himself because he was not at a Rob Has a Podcast drinking a beer with Charlie talking about this. He is not, he's in the game and he brings up something publicly that was clearly a sore subject for Charlie and was very, he was very oblivious. The fact that, looking at Charlie's eyes were welling up with fluid. He was pissed off. This is unresolved business. And Rizo was like, when you got totally blindsided by Maria, right? And he was just like, I'm like, you don't necessarily bring up things like that. And then it was a public. So when you're in front of, the rest of the tribe, that's probably Rizzo's. I think Rizzo's not going to make it to the end. A great kid. I love the whole thing with him and Colby and how Colby's like, I don't like him. And they're like, he reminds me of me. I like him a lot now. Rizzo's cool. I like Rizzo. I'm not saying anything about it, but that is, I think that is going to be the thing that's going to get Rizzo out of the game. That one little nuance is enough to get him out. And he did not read the room, and he made a mortal enemy out of Charlie. A mortal enemy out of Charlie. So that's something that, I think people like Charlie, pushing buttons in the middle. Everybody likes Charlie. Charlie's aware of himself. We'll see if Chrissy can adapt. She needs to go underwater for a while and just ride in the middle because she's been can't be annoying. Jonathan could be somebody in that middle. Dee's probably a little high profile. Got to get her down. There's a lot of sharks in that bowl, and they all have to eat.
It's funny that you saw that interaction with Rizzo and Charlie and started worrying that Rizzo could be the one that gets hurt by it. I think the opposite. I think Charlie, if he throws sort of caution to the wind and comes after Rizzo because he feels like Rizzo will get him in the end, I think that puts Charlie, as you said, out of the middle and kind of in a vulnerable position himself. So they're not going to be able to live together. Like one of those two is going to be going home, and I don't know who that is at the beginning. But yeah, it's interesting. Bailey, we've talked about Charlie and Rizzo. Where do you fall on that? Who do you think gets the brunt end there?
I question if Rizzo asking that was completely misreading the room and all just, being kind of naive, or if there was any sort of strategy behind it. Like, was he asking this intentionally, maybe to try to get a rise out of Charlie to then put a target on their back? I don't know. And I think the thing about Charlie is we've only really seen how he feels about it in his confessionals. He hasn't really been talking to anyone about it. So if Charlie can pull that same sort of thing of just patience, okay, don't react to this right now. Yes, I'm pissed about it. Yes, Rizzo is my mortal enemy. But if I can be a little patient with his information and sit on it, then maybe it won't create as big of a target on his back. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that come to light next week because we just saw the seedlings of it kind of be placed. So I think it's going to greatly depend on how Charlie uses this new information because we know he hates Rizzo, but I don't think everyone else knows he hates Rizzo yet.
I think that's an excellent point, Bailey. And it's all going to come down to Charlie being strategic and patient because all he needs is somebody that's aligned against Rizzo, and then he's there to fan those flames. He's ready to pile on. He's ready to go, and he just has to be, that's the way. If I was playing that, I'd play the long game too, where I'm like, okay, Rizzo showed his cards to me. He's now, I'm gunning for him, like saying, Ellie, I'm gunning for you. I'm going to now start gathering facts. I'm going to start gathering examples, and I'm going to wait. And eventually, I'm going to be on a trail at the water well with Bailey and Tony, and you guys are going to bring up Rizzo for some negative reason. And you're like, he's this. I'm like, well, I also heard about blah, blah, blah.
A, B, C, D, E.
And then, and then it's like, okay. And then you go, I'm on board. I agree with you, Tony. I agree with whatever you said, Bailey. Let's move that way. And then you're ready to pounce. But so the trap is set, but he doesn't need to force the mouse into the trap. Let the mouse come up to the cheese and be ready to drop that lever down. And I think that if he does that, and I think he will. Charlie's super smart, right? He's
He
Harvard.
is.
He's a lawyer. He's he beat Ben at the Taylor Swift versus Metallica song contest. So I mean, he's got it up there, and he's likable and he's athletic.
Yeah.
So if he can control that and not react but respond to that, I think he will clobber Rizo, and that will be part of his healing for the Maria situation.
He does. He seems like he needs a little bit of healing for that, and we get it. We get it, Charlie. I'm interested to see how it all plays out. Charlie versus Rizo, Genevieve versus Aubrey. Can Cirie survive? All of these players, still so many to come down in season 50, and Bailey and I will be back every single Thursday to break down every single episode of Survivor 50, and every Monday having on a Survivor guest to help us break down from an expert's perspective, just like Gabler did with us today. My friend, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show.
It was so fun. That was the fastest hour on the radio, that's for sure.
For Bailey Buffs, for Gabler, my name is Tony Squares. This is Survivor Squared. We shall see you next week. And until then, go below the water. Get that threat level down, folks.
Definitely do so. Take care, y'all.